All right, welcome back everyone to another video on paying it forward. I'm really excited this week to be doing a developer story together with one of my friends from Microsoft, Mao. Mao, it's great to meet you. Could you just introduce yourself a little bit and tell us a bit about your background?
Yeah, thank you, Peter, for this opportunity. Yeah, so I'm Maho Pacheco. I'm based on Redmond. I work for Microsoft. I am a software engineer. I am originally from Mexico, and I have been in the history by quite a few years. Yeah.
Something people may not know, you can actually see it in your background, but you play guitar in our internal band in our team here in Microsoft in Industry Solutions Engineering. Can you tell me a bit more about how you got into playing guitar?
Yeah, so I'm always have been fascinated by music, but I think I started playing guitar like about when I was 15 years old, maybe. So it helped me like to express myself in different ways. And yeah, so we had fun. I think it was almost 1 month ago. Wow, time flies. On Microsoft, we had this little band, and it was fun. Yeah.
I was in the audience, and I definitely have to ask the question now. But like, were some of the lyrics for those songs done with assistance of AI?
Yeah, we try it, but I think ChatGPT is not very good with the rhythm and verses. So we try it, but no. At the end, there was another person, Laura Land, that was like taking the leadership to do the lyrics. So for those who don't know, like we did like a parody lyrics, like geeky lyrics with very famous songs from the Beatles and Queen. So yeah, it was fun.
It worked out really well. So it's great. Even I think everyone suspected it was AI, but you've now proven us wrong. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
So thanks, Mao. Let me dive a little bit deeper into kind of the job that you do now at working at Microsoft. What got you into technology? What was your first job, and what did you learn from it?
Yeah, so I got into technology and computers since a very young age. So I got the opportunity to be in touch with computers, and my father also he took some courses about programming, but it was at the time that computers were not as accessible as are now. So he did these programs or programming in like notebooks, like paper, and I was reading those like paper algorithms. I think it was like Fortran maybe, and I was translating that to Pascal, I believe at the time. So it was fun. It was just like a very basic inventory system application. So that got me into computer, and then with the games, there was like some basic, uh, basic games like Gorilla Bass and Nibbles Bass. So I got into the programming. But my first job was my first paid job. It was on a local internet service provider in Mexico. So I was the
Hmm.
sysadmin, like with four servers. I think it was one Windows NT and the other was Open Free BSD. So I was like there, like doing the design of the web pages, but also like the dial-up connections to the servers on this programmer. And after college, because this was previous to college, but after college, I got into a startup as a software developer, and I spent there 6 years. So I mean, I learned a lot of things from those two experiences. Yeah,
When you first started in that job with the internet service provider, Mao, did you know that that was the career for you at that point in time?
I did. Yes. So from that point, all my jobs, and we are talking about this was high school. So all my jobs were about technology. And yeah, so I got into that. The thing that I didn't like it a lot, it was like the customer facing thing because, I needed to go sometimes to the customers' houses or the company's headquarters to install these devices that it was the modems. And so all of that process, I learned a lot, but I was more like focused in the servers. That was what I was enjoying, like just security and white hacking and stuff like that. That was my thing. Um, but then I got into a newspaper as a designer, so it was like I was trying to discover what I was really into it. So I was like the designer there, and then like in the startup it was software developer. And that is like my thing. That's where I discovered that I really am passionate about software development. Yeah.
Cool. And what would you say it was specifically about software development that really like, allowed you to scratch the itch, so to speak?
Yeah, so like when I like before that, when I read like the Hacker Manifesto, I remember very clearly like dealing with computers was like some kind of creativity. Like you can input some things and you can expect some outputs. So that like very deterministic way to like deal with computers was what I got into it. So I really see like software development as a creativity kind of thing, like something that you can express yourself and then also solve problems, right? Like make an impact in society or to a user. So creating software is for me like something that is like really helpful for express myself. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, it's great to be able to kind of find something, especially in your career, that allows you to express yourself and kind of be able to, as we do on this channel, pay it forward. Um,
Yes.
Within your career, have you ever faced any kind of career setbacks? And if you did face setbacks, how did you bounce back from those experiences?
Yeah, I think um yeah, for sure. I have been having setbacks. Like I have been applying to certain jobs positions where I didn't got that job position, but I didn't got this concept of growth mindset until I came to Microsoft. But that is kind of the way that I handle the setbacks. Like I always see them not only as a learning opportunity, which it should be the first thing that you need to like how I learned from this setback or from this challenge, but also as an opportunity. There are some times that even if you don't see it clearly, a setback can represent an opportunity for yourself. So I'm trying to like take a growth mindset every time, learn from there, be better, and then try to bounce back, yeah, stronger.
Awesome. That's so cool. Yeah, it's such a good mindset to have. I'm definitely working at Microsoft as well. I'm a huge fan of the growth mindset.
Yeah.
Okay, so shifting gears a little bit in relation to your career, what's your perspective on mentorship? And within the career journey that you've kind of described, have you had any particular mentors or mentored someone that you would be able to talk about?
Yeah, for sure. So I think like sometimes we got too much into work on and we think that the work we told by themselves, but really like what it matters more in this career sometimes is people or networking and mentors are for sure one of the cornerstones of that. So I have had very like a few mentors that I remember like sometimes your manager or your boss function as a mentor when you are younger in your career, but the further that you progress, you try to find some person that helps you in different aspects of your career. So in mentorship, I think you should not just get just one mentor. Maybe you can get two or three depending on what you are looking for. So I have had mentors that have helped me with my presence, with how I speak, like others that are more like regarding technical side, how to manage my career. Um, and then there is a like a clear distinction that we need to do between mentor and sponsor and coach. Sometimes also those are like a blurry lines, but like once that your mentor becomes your sponsor, like that means that they really vouch for you, and that is, I think, the ultimate mentorship that you can have. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, that's so cool.
Uh,
Go ahead.
Sorry, and if someone wants to reach because they need mentorship, I'm open to like.
Thanks for sharing that, Mao. Is there anyone that you would want to call out who's been like a mentor in your career that you'd reference towards, or
I think I have many names. Like from the first startup, I remember like Juan Carlos Gonzalez. I think we still keep in touch. He's now in Portugal. I think he has his own company. But I remember others like Robin Cole or Dan Massey or like other people that has helped me to like to just progress with my career. Yeah.
that's great. How do you prepare for job interviews? Because as you probably know, being a software engineer, that tech in interviews in the tech industry are renowned for being very difficult. Do you have any like tips to share on that?
I mean, this is difficult. I can share my experience, but I don't think my experience is the best. I am a very improvised guy, so I spend some time to like do coding or to like prepare myself about the interviews. But every person learns different. So I think that doesn't apply to different people. I feel like a great sense of fulfillment if I go to the interview and I mean, I do it right without a lot of preparation, but that's my thing. Like one tip is that I can see the interviews not only as a place where you are getting evaluated in a kind of way, but also a place where you can evaluate the company that you are trying to get into. So it's very important to have a set of questions to know like what is the company about, like ask the right questions, because that is also part of the interview. So I will say that prepare yourself to also interview the other person, kind of a way. Um, so I think that's a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that relates well with my experience in that, the worst thing when you're an interviewer is arriving at the interview where someone doesn't have a question for you at the end of the interview. It almost feels like there's nothing more to talk about. So knowing that someone's actually done the research, found out who you are, has some thoughtful questions, it makes a big difference as well. So
It does, yeah. It can also like move the balance a little bit in your favor if you ask the right questions because you are the right fit. I am not saying that try to game the interview. I'm just saying that sometimes those kind of cultural things helps to understand if it's the right candidate or not.
my last question is about I know you have a blog called Wild Ducks. Can you tell me a bit more about your blog and why you created it and what you post on there?
Yeah, so um yeah, so in Mexico we have this phrase like al agua patos. It's like mother dogs push dogs to the water so they can learn to swim. And this is kind of like very similar to paying forward. Like um I was trying to giving back a little of my experience to other people. My brother, he's also into software engineering, so I was like, I will share my experience to him. He's like 10 years older, younger than me, but also it got into try to express myself and just share that experience. So I'm trying to do that, like trying to put there whatever I am learning so other people can make use that for your career. In IBM, we had this concept of wild dogs, like you should treasure dogs that or people that think out of the box or doesn't follow the certain conventions and try to nurture them to keep doing that. So it's like a game of words that helps to with expression. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Before we shift to the next section of questions, I've noticed a couple of things on your background that I have to ask you about. The first one is I see you've got a sign there hanging which says "Best Dad Ever." Uh, what's it like being a father, Mal?
Yeah, so I think, I mean, personally, negotiating with a toddler is like one of the um like most challenging things, and but personally also it helps you. Like if you can negotiate with a toddler, you can negotiate with any developer or your manager. So that is like they think out of the box because they don't have a box. So I mean that is super cool. Like having a kid, it makes you see the world in with different eyes. So I think he has helped me to be a better engineer, to be honest. Maybe it's not for everyone, I recognize that, but for me, it's pretty cool. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I also noticed something that I was really caught my eye, which is the beautiful, I don't know if it's a star or a flower, but the beautiful pattern. Could you tell me a bit more about that?
Yeah. So so in Mexico, I am from a Pacific city, like close to the center of Mexico in the Pacific, and we have like this um cultural thing that is like the Wixárika people. So the Wixárika people does that kind of things. So it represents like different aspects of their microcosmos or the universe, and they do these colorful things because um they get into like hallucinogens mushrooms or kind of thing. So that's how they like get into this art. It's very famous. I can send you a link about that. Yeah, and it's pretty cool. I,
Awesome.
I really like that. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. It's very my daughter is really into design and fashion. And so I definitely will need to share that with her. But we'll also, of course, share it in the video description as well down below.
Yeah, so
Um,
this is made of very little plastic things, and they have made like, I don't know, full cars, just
oh
with
wow,
these patterns. Yeah, I will send you the link. Yeah.
that's amazing, amazing. Um, all right, so the next kind of questions are a bit more about your job as a software engineer and all about code. Um, so my first question is a as an opener is all about what programming language would you say you're most comfortable with and why?
Right now I would say .NET. It was the first language that I used it. Well, it was not the first. The first was Pascal and Basic, but for like I sold like a software made on .NET, and then I spent a lot of years in PHP. But then I came back to .NET, so I would say that's the one. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. I know that in the work that we do in our teams, the ability to, I would say, learn on the fly software
Yes.
engineering languages is very, let's say, important. But I always ask in terms of what you're comfortable with at the moment, because I think, or the most, because I think it's kind of good to know where the developer's heart is in terms of which language they refer to themselves because it can, I think for some people as software engineers, it can tell you a lot about the person in terms of which languages they like.
Yeah, I have never been like a guy that is like just with one programming language. When I was in the startup and we were like 6 years in PHP, I was like at the point that to learn the internals and making like very deep modules compiling in C for PHP. I honestly right now I don't even remember if I can do that. So it's always like in the moment. Right now I think it's .NET, yeah, for work.
Yeah, thanks, man, for sharing that. Obviously, part of working in software engineering is open source. And I noticed from my research of you that you're involved in the Free Software Festival. Could you tell me a little bit about what that festival is about and some of the benefits of working in open source?
Yeah, well, the Free Software Festival, it was just like one of those symposiums or conferences about open source. I think when I was very young, like there is a phrase with I think it was Salvador Allende, it's a Chilean president, was Chile president. He said like it's a biological contradiction to be young and not be revolutionary. So I think this was my revolution, like free software and open source. So I was really into it. Like I was installing Open Office in every computer that I had chance to modify, changing the logo to Microsoft Office so people would not notice. I was organizing install fest. People brought their computers and we were helping to install Linux and get rid of Windows. I was organizing conferences, went to talk to symposiums. My slides were not PowerPoint, there was just HTML and CSS. So I was really into it. But it was basically like a philosophical belief of transparency, collaboration, democratization of technology. But also, I think like open source can bring empowerment to people. Like in Latin America, it's a big issue, like the economic barriers for students and underserved communities. So think on Blender, Gimmick, Scape. I still use those. That
Mhm.
can help you not be bound to like some corporate or licensing fees. Um, but also, I mean, it is a community. So open source is like a very vibrant community, a supported network. So you can meet cool people, you can see the code. So it is an amazing educational tool. So you can understand how things works. And at the end, I mean, it has a global impact, right? So like even if you translate some software for your community, but that maybe can have an impact for small communities all over the world that maybe need something very similar. So it is a movement. I feel that I was part of something larger, and I honestly had a lot of fun with that. Yeah.
Yeah, I can feel the passion about around the
Yeah.
topic when you talk about it. We could talk about that probably for an hour on its own.
I can, yes. So yeah, I mean the only thing is like at the time Microsoft I believe it was a very different company. So now I really enjoy to be in Microsoft and be able to work in open source. I think that's amazing for me.
Awesome. That's great. You mentioned about working in open source. I wonder if there is like a project that you've been working on which you're particularly proud of, and whether you could point to me some of the challenges that were in that project and how you overcame them.
Yeah, so I think it was 2 or 3 years ago. We participated in a hack about this is before ChatGPT. So to um grade avocados for like small communities or small farmers using AI in a Raspberry Pi. So we use like a Love AI, like Python, TensorFlow, um, like model, like to detect like when an avocado has like certain defects. So small community farmers can streamline that without a lot of training, so they can increase their profits. I mean, I can talk an hour about the challenges there, but yeah. So I was proud of that. Like that really helped me. Yeah, to
Yeah,
work
that's
on that.
cool. It was really cool, that project. I remember seeing all of the, let's say, the big waves that were made from that. And it's for me, it's always so funny to talk about life before ChatGPT,
Yes.
as if it was like years ago, whereas it was only a short time ago.
Yeah, well, this project, I think it still works because it's on the edge. So
Yeah.
you don't have a lot of internet connectivity. So ChatGPT still needs to have like a connectivity. So I think it still is relevant. But yeah, it helped me. We won like the LATAM prize, and my name is still there in a glass in the Microsoft headquarters because of that. So I am proud of that.
You definitely should be proud of that, my friend. So what's kind of your approach to how you approach problem solving and kind of working in that aspect when there can be some challenges to overcome?
That's a good question. When I'm problem solving, I don't I try to not get very deep into like the solution at the first side. I try
Mhm.
to understand the problem, like because sometimes you can solve the problem without even a single line of code. It's not maybe fun, but it's I mean there are other tools and that you can use to solve a problem. When you go with a customer, sometimes they just need an spreadsheets, right? They don't really need like this complex program. So it's the same when you look into the code. Sometimes you get too much into the code because it's cool or I don't know, you have fun that you don't see the real problem behind. So just trying to understand the problem and then there are some creative ways to solve it. If the solution is too complex, I think it's wrong. So like really like when you know that you hit at the right point is when the solution is very simple to understand and to explain to others. Yeah.
I would say also linked to that, what are some of the, I'm not going to call them best practices, but what are some of the coding practices that you swear by, that you apply every time when you're working in the things that you do?
So this maybe will like be a hot topic, right? Like everybody's talking about if you should do TDD or not. I mean, you should have testing, right? So testing is like cornerstone. If you can automate your testing, you will get like a more I don't know, like higher quality, or at least you will know that there is some quality there. So the automated testing, of course, right now, like just code versioning, it's just, I don't know, it should be there because I cannot imagine the world without code versioning anymore. Um, CI/CD or pipelines also, I think there is a point where you want it, and as early as possible is better than later in the process, including infrastructure as a code. Even that sometimes it's easier to just go to the Azure portal and click and create the resources. You want it to have as early as possible. Maybe not at the beginning if you are creating a prototype. I understand that, but you want to have that. Um, Code reviews, and code reviews doesn't mean pull request. It just means that someone else needs to be able to see your code and review that, maybe in a pair programming session, maybe in pull requests. So those kind of things are, I think, is cornerstones. And then, of course, if this is not only a prototype, but it's becoming a product, make sure that you are taking care of security, observability, extensibility, and those kind of things that will help you to get there faster. Yeah.
Thanks. A great list of suggestions. I hope everyone's writing them down after hearing all of those. I was thinking of an analogy as you were talking about CI/CD in particular, as if you're trying to build a house without scaffolding on the outside.
Yeah.
Like you put the bricks up straight and then you hope they're straight because if they fall
Yeah,
down, then the
that's
house
true.
falls down.
Yeah, and this is especially important if there are more than one people working in the same project. I mean, I can understand that you maybe don't choose all of that if you are the only person and if the project is less than 500 of lines of code, but more than that or two persons, I mean, you definitely want to start ticking the boxes. Yeah.
I agree. We're doing that in a project I'm involved in at the moment, and it's a breath of fresh air, being able to see the visibility of what everyone in the team is doing.
Yeah.
Um, Linked, I would say, building on top of what we've just talked about, what are some of the emerging technologies you're excited about in the coding world at the moment?
Um, Well, AI, right? So I'm really excited. Like every day you see something new, and I mean, the base technology seems like it's there, but just like how do you evaluate the models? How do you evaluate the answers? How do you integrate these with different things? How do you even like the embeddings, databases, the vectors, all of that? I think it's super exciting to see this change. To be able to be part of that change is super exciting. But there are other things too. Like right now, we are working in a project of microservices and Kubernetes, which kind of look like boring, but there are certain technologies there that are cool, like Dapper, like the distributed mechanism or framework to create these microservices. So there is always there. There is always something there happening. It's really difficult to keep up, but if you just focus in one or two things, you can do it. Yeah.
It's unbelievable what's coming down the pipeline in terms of AI. I was going to ask you the question as well, whether what's your take on the hype and whether it will live up to the hype around AI?
So I remember the hype of big data. I remember like everybody wanted big data and Hadoop and this like whole pipeline for like processing data. And it was a buzz. Like really all companies wanted. They didn't know why. But at the end there is something that really like get there, right? Like people are using Kafka and streaming processing and huge databases and NoSQL and stuff like that. I think it's gonna happen the same with AI. Everybody wants AI, they don't know why, but at the end, it will lead to the hype. And I really think that this time it looks different. Like it really will change the landscape of technology. So yeah,
That's
I
a
cannot imagine right now working without AI. Like, and it was just 1 year ago. So, but anyway,
same
it
same
really,
here. I was
yeah.
my daughter, to give you a quick story, my daughter, her eyes lit up earlier because we were having a chat with the new speak service
Mm-hmm.
of ChatGPT Plus. And she asked it a math homework question,
Uh-huh.
and it responded to her with, as a 9-year-old, breaking down the sum that she needed to solve for. And I can see that within a year that she will be using it as her personal tutor, being able to speak to it, not necessarily just type into a box. So it's incredible what's coming.
Yeah, I think it's just it's a tool, like just like a calculator, right? Like instead of doing all things by paper, you can streamline. So really, you can use it to pinpoint some ideas, to like streamline certain things. So I really it's a very helpful tool. Yeah.
How do you keep up with like all the changes that go on in the tech landscape? I think that, one of the ways I often kind of get this question myself is like there's so much changing constantly. How do you keep up with the news?
Yeah, it's difficult. I mean, and there is a lot of noise, right? So you need to like try to get rid of the noise. I mean, if maybe it's LinkedIn, maybe it's Reddit, maybe it's RSS, or it was Twitter at the time. I don't know. Like all these mechanisms to keep up with technology, they generate a lot of noise. So you just need to find your way to like curate the content that you want. There is so much that you can consume at the day, so make sure that you have your priorities like set. Um, because I mean, I am one of those persons that love to learn about different technologies. So like every time that I just learn about something, I can get deep for hours just to learn in that. So make sure that you have your priorities set and just try to curate your content and get rid of the noise. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to add to what you just said there, Mao, is like in curating your let's say the things that you need to learn. There's so many great channels on YouTube out there that do the curation for you. I follow a number of them. I'll leave some of the suggestions in the box down below. But there's I think as you said it, prioritizing and curating as kind of some of the key points there. We talked earlier, Mao, about the example of your early in career where you worked for the internet service provider. I was just wondering, what's your take now, some years on from that, in relation to the importance of soft skills in a technical role?
Oh yes, I think like yeah, you should not underestimate soft skills. At the time, you can think that your work will talk by itself, but really like be able to handle different things are amazing. Like so, the first thing that I learned from that time because I was studying and working is like how to handle or manage your time. I have been working, I think that was the last time that I worked on site. Like from there, all my jobs have been remotely. And this is, I don't know, we're talking about 15 years ago. So how to handle your times, how to handle your agenda, your milestones, your goals. I think that's important. Second, of course, is like understand your customers or other people, like the problems of other people, how to graph requirements, how to ask the right questions, how to try to understand or manage by empathy what they are feeling, right? I clearly remember trying to guide a person to connecting the Ethernet cable to the computer, and they were connecting that to another part of the monitor. And I was very frustrated by the phone, but that's something that keep with me. Like you don't assume or make assumptions about what the skills that the other people have. So all of that, yeah, it kept with me. So yeah, soft skills is it's something that you need to uh, like leverage on or work on. Yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned something there in the explanation that kind of links to my next question, which was given you've worked remotely now for 15 years, how do you handle, I would say, it's like it's often called work-life balance, but I think it's just how do you balance the two things in especially when software engineering is a discipline that's considered, being on or working really late nights, sitting in the basement, working in the dark.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm very fortunate. I'm very fortunate that software engineering is my passion. So I can spend hours there without burn out myself, I guess. But also I have a supportive family and also in work, like I have never had any job position where my manager was not supportive of work-life balance. But yes, I mean, sometimes I remember we were managing like 10 projects at the time. I was really burned out by December and I really just needed to take time. So just make sure that you take time to take care of yourself. Maybe you need to put something in your calendar, like every day or every Friday or maybe every week, but you need to make it intentional. It's not gonna happen just because of it. It's not gonna happen. Your manager is not gonna come and say you need to take 1 week of vacations. Well, sometimes it happens, but don't count with that. Like you need to be intentional about helping you be the better engineer that you can be, and that means that you need to take care of your health and your life. Yeah.
And it's what great advice you've shared there, Mao. One of those pieces of advice that I've applied myself is being very protective of your calendar this year. Um, One of the things let's say, you're in Seattle, I'm in Belgium. One of the challenges is working across multiple time zones. And I think for me in the past, I was often leaving my calendar open for people
Mhm.
on multiple days per week, and then realizing why I was so tired at the end of the week. And as you said, now I just block it on certain days and don't allow even to have a call on those days. So I have a time back for me. So really great advice. All right, so we're coming near to the end of the interview. I've got some fun quick fire questions, which I will try and ask if other people when we do interviews like this, hopefully more of them in the future. Um, so the first one is because I know you like beer. So what's your what's your favorite beer and why?
Um, I don't know. Every day I can take a Pilsner.
Okay,
It's very light. It's very refreshing. It still has a flavor. But if I don't need to drive, maybe an stout or an IPA. A stout has a stronger flavor. So yeah, I like that.
nice. Yeah, hopefully you come to Belgium so we can try out some a good
Yes, for sure.
selection.
I will go.
What's your given you're a musician, what's your favorite music style?
Oh, metal. I can focus with black metal. I That's my thing. But I enjoy a lot of musical genres like jazz or rock or other kind of things. Yeah, but metal is my thing.
I think the next question was definitely not written for you, which is remote work. Do you love it or hate it?
Yeah, I love it. I would say also that I like to go to the office. I mean, it's not that, yeah, but I love remote work. Yeah, for sure.
Um, this one is maybe a story in the response, but what's your favorite IDE?
So my favorite idea is Beam. So I was a very Beam enthusiast and I could debug in Beam and everything. But today I use more VS Code. Yeah, it's more like I have more better performance that on Beam. Yeah.
What's the best book you've read recently?
So I don't read a lot of technical books. So the last book it was Hollow Kingdom
Okay.
by Jane Buxton. It's fiction, Seattle, zombies, and a crowd. So it was fun. I'm starting to reading Staff Engineer like by Will Larson. So yeah, let's see how that goes.
Zombies. You got me at zombies. So something I'll have to pick up. What's one technology you wouldn't be able to live without?
Um, I don't know if music is technology or streaming is technology. I cannot live without music. I maybe can live without the internet, but I cannot live without music. So maybe a computer out there with music, no internet, that's fine. Yeah.
Cool. Are you a coffee, a tea, or a water guy?
Nah, coffee. Yeah, 1,000 times coffee. Yeah, for sure.
Nice. Are you a morning person or a night owl?
I am a night owl, and lately I have been able to be more a night owl. So maybe we can catch up in your time zone. Yeah,
Jet lag is fun, right? As well, when you're
it is
traveling
fun.
across time zones, it makes being a night owl sometimes good.
Yes. So I was in Europe like a couple of weeks ago, and it was fun. Yeah, I had much fun. I didn't feel
Um,
a lot of jet lag. So yeah.
that's good. That's good. My last question, which I don't have written down in preparation, is can you tell me something about you that no one else would know currently?
Oh wow, that's difficult one. Um, I don't know. I think I am very open with people, so they know everything about myself. But I used to have the hair very long, like to almost my, yeah, very long, feet long. So because I
Wow,
was into metal, yeah,
you're a rocker.
I was rocker, revolutionary, and young. Not
Pretty
anymore.
cool. I'm going to ask a personal question. I see you have a Red Bull Racing jacket on. Which what got you into Red Bull Racing and Formula One?
So Red Bull with racing because Checo is there, like to be honest. But Formula One, I love the data, like how, like a lot of things needs to happen in order to make it work, like the temperature, the weather, just the driving style, how the tires degrade, the strategy, the way that the road track is made of, like all the air, the aerodynamics. So all of that data, it really gets to me into it. Like you can see those small pieces playing together, and then the team came, and yeah, it's very exciting. Yeah, and then in person, like just hearing everything, it's super. Like the adrenaline it gets into you. So yeah,
All right, my friend, we're coming to the end of the interview. I just want to say a big thank you for being the first guest on Paying It Forward, interviewing together,
it's an honor.
telling us your developer story. Thank you everyone for watching the video. Looking forward to welcoming you back for another video soon. Take care. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.